Hello and welcome to episode 28 of I Will Cast Anything. We're here on Entombed Valley for a PvZ. The blue Protoss player spawning in the top right hand corner is Scapegoat. He is in Platinum League. He sent me this replay in a pack of 5, so this is the first of 5 we'll be seeing from this Protoss player Scapegoat. And his opponent in this first of the 5 is the red Zerg player in the top left hand corner, and I'm stalling with this name here, XFSiLliTe. I'm going to call this guy SciLliTe because that's easily pronounceable. Pylon scout from the Protoss player makes its way out across the map, and it's heading in the wrong direction. Oh well, this Overseer has gone a bit more fortunate and is heading out the correct way. We don't see an early pool from SciLliTe or SciLliTe. Oh, I've forgotten what I decided to call that Zerg player. I'm going to go with XFSiLliTe. There are too many different ways to pronounce that. Here comes that spawning pool, and here comes a forge. Looks like we'll see forge, cannon, gateway, cybercore wall with a pylon in it probably as well to protect the expansion nexus that will come down from Scapegoat, and chrono boosting heavily into that nexus to get that worker count up as high as possible, as early as possible. Spawning pool just about finished, and one would expect to see a hatchery come down from this worker. Splorch, there it goes. And here comes that probe scout, finally sees the hatchery, so that's good news for the Protoss player. Doesn't have to worry about any early shenanigans whatsoever. Can just calmly sit here, expand, and yep, upon seeing that hatchery first, Scapegoat is going to expand straight away before this wall off is finished, because why wait? There is a drone coming in from the Zerg player. I'm just going to go, yeah, just this guy is the Zerg player for the rest of this. Too complicated, too difficult to pronounce. So relegated to being referred to by race only. Here's the gateway along with the cannon, completing this wall, and another hatchery. So Scapegoat scouts an expansion from the Zerg player and expands. The Zerg player scouts an expansion from Scapegoat and expands. Lots of bases happening. Small wave of Zerglings is coming out just to make sure nothing too crazy happens, and to make sure that these bases can be defended against any kind of early rush, but there's not going to be anything early coming on here. Not going for the cybercore in this wall off, just 2 pylons, cannon, forge and gateway. Haven't seen any research coming out of this gateway just yet, coming out of this forge even just yet, but now the gateway is done, the cybercore can come down. Gas has been taken, and warp gate research will be commenced. We also see the first zealot coming out for the Protoss player, and the third queen coming just as the hatch finishes. These rocks are being dealt with so that creep spread can connect up all 3 of these bases, which is of course hugely important for mobility, especially for queens in the early game. Double gas being taken at the expansion as the cybercore finishes up, and warp gate research starts straight away. We'll probably see chrono boosts being dumped into that in the not too distant future. 3 gas taken at the 6-minute mark for the Zerg player. 6 minutes is always when you tend to see the gas go down from a Zerg, and I think not taking more, perhaps because he has slightly more expansions than you would usually have at this point in the game, so not quite that mineral bank that one might have, but also can dictate the tech choice slightly. Mostly drones coming from the Zerg player at the moment though. 28 drones at the moment, and more always coming. Looks like that chrono boost isn't being spent on warp gate research, but is rather being dumped straight back into the nexuses in order to get more probes out, and this is why. Robo is coming. So warp gate not so important if early robotics bay play is what's going to happen. I'm going to have a Zealot against 6 Zerglings here. This should go badly for the Zealot. It does kill one, and now he's going to micro back. Oh, doesn't manage to get the second for being munched to death. And we see tech coming from Zerg. Layer on the way. Roach Warren has been put down, as has an Evolution Chamber. And we see from the Protoss player more gates. That Burst Immortal coming out from the Robo facility. +1 weapons and warp gate research about to finish up. Lots of gates coming down, oh my. Always good to have more gateways. So both players not putting out many units early on, but instead teching up, getting their production facilities going, and now we see the first serious unit production with a wave of roaches on the way out for the Zerg player. And it looks like we're going to see a roach-based army as missile attack. +1 is the first research that goes down ahead of even of Zergling speed. And roach speed also coming. So we will see what it is to be besides just roaches for the Zerg player. We might see roach infestor play perhaps. Time will tell. Creep spread starting to happen for the Zerg player now. Up to 4 queens, so 3 doing larva injects. Leaves 1 just to get that creepy creep spread all over the map. Meanwhile the Protoss player's got a large number of sentries here. 7 sentries out already. That's definitely more than are needed to wall off this base, so I wonder what might be planned for these. See a probe scout going out. We see a small force moving onto the map. Maybe Protoss is thinking about taking a third. Or maybe just restricting some creep here. We do see the infestation pit coming down from the Zerg player. I think Roach Infestor is going to be the play here. Bit of pressure coming from Scapegoat. Can use these force fields to wall off those roaches. That's what happens. Forces a bunch of those spine crawlers to cancel there. And they're able to do a lot of damage with that Immortal. And potentially take out this third base here. I don't think those roaches can do much against 2 Immortals at the good force field to keep them at bay, although that +1 range attack is just about to finish and a big wave of Zerglings is about to come, but this is a huge loss for Zerg so early on to lose that unit production from the hatchery. And this early pressure from Scapegoat, as well as allowing third Nexus to be taken, has given a significant advantage in this game to the Protoss player. But +1 melee attack is on the way, pathogen glands is on the way, infestors surely soon to follow, even though the income of the Zerg player has been severely hampered here. And it looks like we're going to see a lot of upgrades on the way from the Protoss player. We see another forge, we see a Twilight Council, we see a robotics bay, more gateways, gas at this new expansion. So after striking a blow to the economy of his opponent, Scapegoat is getting his own economy in order. Throwing down a pylon here to allow him to cannon off this ramp here, and a couple of extra cannons at the main. Here's a big force of Zerglings. See where they end up going. Oh, this queen is getting chased away. And 3 Immortals in this army now. They're going to come up and try and deny this third. This is very good timing to come in. A lot of Zerglings have come in behind. A couple of good force fields go down to break them up and break up the roaches. I think there's just too many units here. It looks like the sentries are being targeted down by these roaches, but all of the roaches will fall. A lot of long-range mining workers have been killed as well. Only 1 of the Immortals was taken out. And still stalkers on stalkers in this army. Scapegoat has a very big advantage now after denying that. Armor 2 coming, weapons 2 coming, and extended thermal lance and blink. So shortly to be a significant upgrade lead for the Protoss player. +1 melee attack just finishing for the Zerg. No infestors out on the map yet. Really struggling for income at this point. moving this forest of spine crawlers up across the map to try and secure the position of this third hatchery and stop Protoss from just coming through and denying it again. And that first wave of infestors is training. So this unit composition is going to get much more potent once those infestors are out, but they will take time to build up some energy. Scapegoat possibly going to be a bit cautious for the moment till these upgrades finish up and the Colossus come out. We do also see a Templar Archives coming down, so getting it some very high tier units potentially quite soon. Meanwhile, fourth hatchery and a macro hatch, which I can't find. Oh no, wait, sorry, that's just this expansion again. Rebuilding that third and taking a fourth. The Zerg player also going up to Hive and getting 2 spires. So I don't know if that's a mistake or if one of those is an insurance spire. It is handy to have an insurance spire sometimes, in case one gets taken down by a crafty warp prism warp-in. Upgrade's about to finish for the Protoss player, so a good time to attack. High Templars are being warped in. Storm is researching. It looks like we're going to see Archons coming out, so this could be a good time to push while the Zerg player is trying to transition into Hive, trying to catch up on those attacks. We see +1 armor, +2 attack, just +1 attack for the Zerg units. This one Colossus pushed out here and might get taken down. It's a good angle of attack from the Roaches and a nice snipe there. Well played by the Zerg player. Just trying to delay the engagement until these infestors are at full energy, but there's a significant supply advantage in this army for Scapegoat. You can see army supply and also unit value significantly higher for the Protoss player. Waiting until Storm is finished researching perhaps before pushing in, also getting +3 weapons, so maintaining that upgrade advantage. The Greater Spire is coming, but Archons are already out, and a ton more gateways being dropped, as well as a very, very distant fourth base for the Protoss player. That fourth for Zerg has finished up. Looks like we might be seeing a push. No, just a little prod, coaxing out 3 Roaches, which are cleaned up in very short order indeed. Lots more spine crawlers coming down from Zerg player. And Scapegoat just moving out onto the map here to make sure nothing comes down towards this new base while it's in its infancy. And meanwhile a wall going up to protect the third with some cannons behind it. And lots of mining going on. It seems that the Zerg player is afraid of losing that third again. Oh, but here's an engagement down at the bottom. Those spine crawlers are going to keep this force at bay, and another good angle from the Roaches and some good fungals. But force of numbers again is winning the day for the Protoss player. That supply advantage, those 4 Immortals in there, as well as tons and tons of Stalkers. Looks like an Archon was lost in that fight. But a consistent lead across the board in the units lost screen and the resources lost screen for the Protoss player. These engagements have been fairly one-sided so far. Apart from sniping off a Colossus, Zerg hasn't been able to get much done. Now this, I think the Protoss player's Scapegoat has figured out that Broodlords might be on the way soon, because we are seeing Stargates coming down. We might see Fleet Beacon pretty soon. We're seeing air weapons coming. So it might just be for a Phoenix or Void Ray. Something similar. Finally, +1 armor and flyer armor for the Zerg player. More infestors are coming, and those corruptors have popped, so Broodlords could be morphing in very, very soon. This fourth base is vulnerable though. Roaches not quite there in time. Colossus with extended thermal lance able to sit at the back and dole out the damage. Some good fungals there, but the Roaches are all gone. These infestors have to run away. And Corruptors will be able to come in and poke at those Colossi, but there are 3 now, and extended thermal lance means they can sit and pick off these spine crawlers as well. The Zerg players at a supply disadvantage and at a base disadvantage. Has been for most of the game. Not sure they're going to be able to come back from this. Here comes that Fleet Beacon. Get that mothership out, deal with those Broodlords, which are now morphing in, but Broodlords are expensive and just not much income at the moment for Zerg. You can see about 500 difference in the current income for the two players. These High Templars just waiting here to drop storms on any groups of units that come too close. There are more Broodlords morphing in. Looks like there's going to be 7 on the field shortly. Here come the Broodlords. There go the Broodlings, and good fungals on those Colossus. But a couple of Infestors are taken down, and another one falls. These Broodlords, though, are going uncontested at the moment. Scapegoat doesn't want to blink under just yet. Oh, big feedbacks on those Infestors. Very, very nice from the Templars. Left at the side to come around at the end, but Zerglings are going to clean those up. And those Broodlords are just pushing this Protoss force away. I think they came out just in time. Graviton Catapult, could we see carriers? Carriers from the Protoss player? This is unconventional. I suppose that is one way to deal with Broodlords. One usually would think just more Blink Stalkers or perhaps a mothership. The fleet beacon is down after all, but carriers it is to be for Protoss. Air armor and shields were being researched, and air weapons too, so those interceptors are going to be pretty strong. That main now fully mined out for Protoss and for Zerg. And just trying to catch up is the Zerg player, trying desperately to get more Broodlords out, get that upgrade parity back. But I think that Scapegoat is going to be maxing out in not too long. Here are those carriers. I'm going to start training up those interceptors, and once they are full, I would expect to see them move out and take this fight to the Zerg player. This 4th hatchery is nearly being rebuilt, but there's been no opportunity to take a 5th for Zerg. Protoss is taking a 6th behind all this map domination and training. 3 more carriers and a mothership right now, so lots of very high tech, high upgrade air units for Protoss. There are going to be some Lings heading down. There's a lot of cannons here. I think those Lings will have to run away. Some of them are going to get through, but they are not being passed very cleverly. Oh dear. That was bloody. Here come those carriers. Nothing spine crawlers can do. Infestors are going to come in and try and drop some fungals, but they don't have neuroparasite. There go the fungals. Those are quite good. A large wave of infested Terrans come out. Broodlords not able to do a huge amount, but they are helping, and those 2 carriers do go down. But here come 2 more. 2 more are nearly finished. The mothership is also nearly finished, and air weapons level 2. These carriers don't have many interceptors just yet, but there are still 2 extended thermal lance colossus here, a ton of blink stalkers, and a massive base advantage. Here is that 5th. I feel like the Zerg player is just edging back into this game now. We can see a lot of upgrades coming down, which is going to be evening things out in a pretty short space of time. Once the mothership comes out, it's going to take a while before it has enough energy to do drop any toilets on these Broodlords. So there is a window of opportunity, I think, here for the Zerg player to attack and potentially make a difference. Thought about trying to run some Lings down to this base here, but decided better of it. There are some probes that might be caught out, and again these carriers are moving in, dealing with this forest of spine crawlers, and again here come the corruptors, here come the Broodlords, here come the infestors. There go the fungals, but this time the blink in happens. The Broodlords are being taken down. All the roaches at the front have been killed, all the Broodlings are being killed, all the infestors are being killed. Another blink in, the corruptors are nearly down. There's only 1 carrier left, but it doesn't matter because Zerg's army has been smashed. No Broodlords remains, no corruptors at this front line. It's going to be very easy to push through this queen, pick off those infestors. There are more corruptors coming in, but there are so many blink stalkers here. The mothership hasn't even made it out to this fight. It's just staying home. There are some Zerglings causing a ruckus down to that bottom base, but infestors falling all the time. Lings being panic rushed out from the Zerg player. The supply gap is out to nearly 100. And Scapegoat just running around those infested Terrans. No need to fight them, just wait for them to drop dead of their own accord. This hatchery is going to fall. I think Scapegoat has this one. There's nothing out on the field to deal with this from the Zerg player. This hatchery is going to fall very quickly. And this wave of Zerglings isn't going to do much. Back home, still a ton of carriers training. But pretty unnecessary at the moment. We'll see if Scapegoat pushes in to deal the killing blow. It looks like it's going to happen. There are a lot of spine crawlers here. And there are Zerglings coming in at the back. That was a good time to attack there. But just not enough. More infested Terrans pop. Scapegoat runs around. Cleans up more Zerglings, which are all Zerg really has to fight with at the moment, but falling further and further behind in supply. And here comes the mama ship with 3 carriers underneath it. Nothing will be able to stop those. Scapegoat being pretty cautious here. Has run out of Colossi, but I think could have pushed in and ended that match a little earlier, but not necessary. Slow and steady wins the race, and it looks like Scapegoat is just going to methodically take out all the remaining defenses with that mothership and those carriers, walk down around and clean up the rest of these hatcheries. Meanwhile, we do have Broodlords morphing in again from the Zerg player, so there will be a sort of 100 supply Broodlord Infestor army, perhaps, to deal with this maxed out Link Stalker Immortal Mothership Carrier army, which is again just gonna wipe out this hatchery here in no time at all, chase all those workers away. And now only this base down at the bottom of the map really mining effectively at all for the Zerg player. Zerg player being a little bit stubborn here is getting Neuroparasite, so Neuroparasite can always turn a game around if it manages to drop a Vortex straight on the Protoss player's army. But it's a tricky trick to pull. Protoss taking yet more bases, because why not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bases for Protoss. Of course, that top corner all completely mined out. Could we see the killing blow now? The mothership is here. The carriers are here. There are Broodlords and Infestors and Corruptors, but just so many Interceptors swarming around, so much burst damage, and there, at long last, is the Chi-Chi and a Vortex just at the end, because why not?